Okay, hopefully now you can hear me. It's one of those evenings. Lots of tech issues up front, but we are back, hopefully, for real this time, with session 14 of Beneath the Banner Shadow. Tonight's episode is called Troubled Water. I'm going to go ahead and waste no more time, pass things over to my players so that they can do their introductions, and then hopefully we can get some actual Dungeons & Dragons played tonight. So, first up, let's go with Baron.
Hey everyone, I'm Baron. I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming, where I have some D&D live plays put up. I think my most recent one was the day before Halloween, so about a month and a half ago. Hopefully see some new content over there here soon once the holidays taper off. But tonight I am reprising my wonderful character, Masaka Tord, the contradictory and troubled and struggling and trying really, really hard to make good choices.
Allegedly. Next up, we have Eli.
Hello, everybody. I'm Eli Kurtz. I have missed the last session because I moved almost across 2 entire states, and I'm now settled for whatever we might imagine settled to mean. It's a mystery over here. Anyway, having a good time. Very glad to be back, and I will be playing Sir John Lightenor, a young man whose mistress is failure and whose child is an awful, mischievous brat.
Speaking of his child, more or less, Steve.
Gross. Hey everybody, I'm Steve. I'm playing Dane Scarlet, the young squire to Sir John. I have the channel 3D6, and the only thing I have to plug is the upcoming project between Jeremy and myself, starting in January, and we have already asked and was accepted our first guest for the inaugural episode, so I'm pretty excited about that. So look for more of that to come here shortly.
Yes, mum is the word still, but very, very excited for getting that kicked off the ground. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to do. So, next up we have Karen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen. I play Ariana Shial. I have nothing to plug really right now because my channel's kind of on hiatus until after the holidays. So we'll get back to that after then. By the way, I'm a mom. So if mom's the word, you could just tell me a little bit more about that. Anyway, I play Ariana Shield. And yeah, she's a little bit concerned about this little gift that has been found on her bed when she came back in this evening. So interested to see how that's going to go. So looking forward to this game.
I'm sure, just like many of the other things you guys have run across, that it's not a big deal. It won't really mean anything. It's probably fine. All right. Last, but certainly not least, is Josh.
Well met. My name is Josh. You can find me on Twitter at RollTheBonesTV and on YouTube at RollTheBones. Like most everybody else, my stuff's on hiatus for a little while, but hopefully we get back to some world building soon. Tonight, reprising my role as Eddard Bainton, the bookish fellow out of Warrenton who has been dabbling in some questionable magics and uncovering a bit of history about his past and his heritage. Quite excited to be back with you guys. Always a pleasure, and can't wait to get back into things.
Excellent. I'm very, very excited. Like I said, we didn't get the chance to play last month because of the holidays and everybody's schedules kind of being nuts, mine included. So I'm really, really excited to be heading back into the kingdom of Vykaril with these people. Every time it's anybody's guess where it might end up. So I think we're about ready. Oh yes, there is bad language. There's going to be bad language. I'm running the game. That's just kind of a given. More than likely, there will be mature subject matter. This game is not for children. If you're watching this and you are a child, you have a child in the room, don't watch this. It's that simple. Okay. Thank you very, very much to our resident artist, if you would like to say. Rachel Ayers, she's the one who did the design on almost all of the shields that you will see in this game. She was an absolute pleasure to work with. So thank you, Rachel, for doing some fantastic work and just being an awesome person. I think that just about covers everything. Do you guys have any questions before we get started? No. Okay. Cool. We have.
Can we start yet?
I do have a quick question, actually.
Yes.
How much time has passed between the last session and this one?
Not much. Hours, minutes. I think maybe one night, maybe.
Okay. Cool.
Because I know where we're going to be picking up is pretty much right after we stopped, but I don't know that anybody else was going to have anything to do other than just Ariana Shiel, because I think everybody else had kind of gone to bed. But we'll see. So, cool. Not much, I guess, is the best answer. Okay. Let's do this then. Bring up the little lovely town of Aelin. It is love and pain that shape us most. They are eternally intertwined. So much so, in fact, that it is possible that one may cause the other. No feeling compares to the pain of having loved too strongly. Yet it is because of our own pain that we are capable of empathy and compassion, one of the purest forms of love. When we are pained, however, it is our very nature to find the source of our hurt. If clung to too tightly, that blame can become a grudge. It is from this seed, this grudge, that retaliation blossoms. But retaliation heals no wounds. It is simply an exchange of pain that compounds upon itself. Therefore, love is the path towards healing wounds. It is not the pain of retribution visited upon our enemies that will heal our kingdom, but love. You are in the small coastal town of Aelin, down the coast from the old capital of Vykaril. You were brought here by the friar that you had met on the road. He offered to pay for your lodgings while you stayed in the next town. He's made sure that the ale has not stopped flowing as long as you were awake. Tord ran into an old friend who is a human man who seems to be the town reeve of Aelin, and a road knight previously. Apparently, Tord was not the only person that he had some history with, however. And it seemed like Ariana Shial and this man had met at least on one occasion previously. Soon after you had gotten there, a sheriff arrived, someone who works for the local baron as a tax collector. He came in and was not the kindest person, and Tord and he began having an exchange, and it very quickly got out of control. But while that was going on, a group of bandits attacked the carriage outside that held all of the gathered taxes. And in the ensuing scuffle, they made off with this carriage, and all of the guards and the sheriff were killed. The town quietly helped clean up the mess as best as they could, and you turned in for the night. But Ari, whenever you turned in for the night, you went back to the common room, and you found something on your bed. It was a doll of similar make to the one that you just saw Tord handling, except this one is done in your likeness. And it has pins, just like the one of Tord's, but all of these doll's pins are in its legs. So, we find Ari with this doll, alone. What is she doing?
So Baron had to drop, just in case you're wondering what's going on.
Yeah, I'll try to get it fixed while you're role playing your heart out.
All right. So Ari seeing this doll, that, I mean, she just literally saw a doll like it moments before, kind of stops her in her tracks, and probably maybe about 5 feet away from the bed, and she just stops, and then she looks around the room to see if there's anyone else around or can see what's going on. And if she doesn't see anyone, or everyone looks like they're asleep or what have you, she's going to approach carefully to the bed. And she, again, looking around, making sure, looking for someone who's looking at her or something. This is just kind of weird. She'll pick up the doll very carefully and will hide it in the folds of her, like her cloak, her clothes at this point. And then again, looking around the room, if she sees no one, she is going to head back out to the fire where she last left Tord.
I am assuming that Tord is still sitting by the fire.
You see Tord kind of glossy-eyed and hunched over, leaning towards that fireplace where they had their conversation last. The smoldering embers, not necessarily dying out, but giving the kind of shaded and flickering light to the room.
Yeah, and quietly Ari is going to approach Tord sitting by the fire again, and this time she sits down beside him on the bench that he's on. Tord.
Look, if you're going to make fun of me for opening up to you, you could at least leave it for the morning.
No, that's not why I'm here. Does anyone else know about... Well, have you told anyone else? Does Thomas know about the doll?
Well, what do you mean?
Well,
I mean, I've never told Thomas, but I don't know what he knew of what his sister did.
have you told Sir John or Eddard or Dane your story?
I haven't spoken my story in the better part of 5 years to anyone.
And at this, you can see that Ari is now staring into the fire herself.
Why are you acting like this?
I found something when I went inside. It was left on my bed. And she reaches into her cloak and pulls out a doll. I found this.
And I recognize this as a similar kind of...
Yeah. This is definitely made in the same style as the doll that you've carried. There may even be like some kind of signature stitch that you recognize.
You didn't see anyone come or go?
No, I did not. It was not there before I came out here to talk to you before, but it was there when I went back.
I can't sit here and pretend to tell you that I know what these are for or what they do. But if someone had this, it's not a good thing.
Should we be worried?
You tell me when a good time to not be worried is.
I think at that she kind of gives a little underhanded chuckle. Fair point. Well, I really will be leaving you now. And thank you, Tord. And with that, she'll again put the doll, hide it in the folds of her cloak, and head back.
So you return to your bed and try to get some rest. I would imagine that there is no small amount of tossing and turning. Tord, is there anything that you do before you eventually try to find sleep yourself?
I don't remember if this happened last time. Did I throw mine in the fire?
Not to my knowledge.
I think after a lot of deliberation and kind of just thumbing over the worn fabric, the torn seams from it riding in my traveler's pack, with a large swig of whatever ale I was nursing for the last, who knows, I'm going to throw mine in the fire.
Okay. You watch as this doll that you've carried for some time now begins to scorch on the outside before the flames flare up from the coals of the fire and consume this doll. It burns, I would say merrily, except that's definitely not the mood, I don't think. But it burns all the same until there is nothing left of it.
Returning to my chamber, or our room, Tord opens the window and extinguishes any kind of candle, letting the sea breeze come in from the coast, which I believe was relatively close, or at least close enough that we get the feel of the salt in the wind. I'm going to look outside for any feline-esque figures. Out of paranoia, probably.
Yeah, you can see not all that far from the window, kind of sitting on top of some barrels across the way, is a creature that you recognize that is definitely feline, but not entirely.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to effectively cast Speak with Animals.
Okay.
In the the cant of the woodland critter, I'm going to attempt to speak to this thing. Watcher, what is it that you seek?
Your safety. To keep you from danger and harm. That is all.
I don't mean to be condescending, but you're not doing a very good job.
You're alive, aren't you?
Prospectively.
It kind of puts its paw up to its beak and makes this kind of cat-like motion against its beak. You always were difficult.
Who sent you?
The time for that is not now. You must stay your course. You have a task given to you. You should get to it.
Reforge the sword.
He does remember.
Very well. Your maker or your patron I would like to see him or her.
When the time is right, perhaps.
Perhaps. Be gone then. Leave me be.
Fine, yes. It, like, stretches its front legs out and kind of arches its back. If that's what you wish.
And I kind of slam the shutters and crawl into bed.
And as you move these shutters closed, you see this cat make to jump from this barrel. And as it does so, it takes flight, changing its shape to that of a raven, and crying out as it peels off into the night. Okay. Was there anything else that anybody wanted to try to do before the morning came? No? Very well. So, dawn comes, and you all eventually make your way kind of back out into the common space, where there's a few tables set out, and you're able to take your morning ale if you'd like it. There's some form of porridge, as well as bacon, and I don't know what kind of fish would typically be served for breakfast, but there's some of that as well to be had. So you are able to have a hearty breakfast if you so wish it. As the group of you are kind of reconvening for the morning, how is that conversation going?
So John is down first before anyone else, and he's basically just sitting at a table and very slowly sipping some water. And he's got this like drained look on his face, like he's just finished a real heavy ordeal, but he's still, recovering a little bit.
Eddard would probably be second down, and he would definitely find John at the table and sit next to him with his breakfast and ale. So, John, you look better?
Ugh. Thank you for your kindness, Eddard. I do not feel it.
How do you feel? What are you feeling?
Ugh. Felt like a horse kicked me in the head yesterday. Today, it feels like a horse kicked me in the head yesterday.
I see. Rest assured that no horse did kick you in the head either day.
Ah, yes. Thank you.
So, you're up early.
Couldn't sleep. Slept most of the day yesterday and spoiled my night, I suppose.
Understandable. Eddard just starts to eat his food, waiting for the rest to come down.
What happened while I was out?
Much. Let's see if I can give you the short of it. We arrived in town. We managed a room thanks to the traveling friar, whose cart we helped fix. Tord met an old friend, and there was some sort of confrontation between him and the local sheriff. And it got really ugly really fast over some tax. I'm not sure if it was as serious as the situation that followed, but something serious certainly happened afterwards. A lot of people died, and I'm not sure where to go from here.
Our trail of pain and sorrow continues.
Trust, though, it was not our fault that they died. We just helped.
I find it hard to believe, but if you say so.
It's glad to see you up and about, though. For the most part of yesterday, you were out. So.
Thank you. I note my squire seems to be sleeping in, though.
I imagine it'd be about that time that Damon would walk back in through the front door, having already been up for several hours. Good. You're awake.
Yes, I am. It was an awful day yesterday, but I appreciate your help.
Well, I imagine we'll need yours soon.
Yes, I hear that yesterday was quite a kerfuffle.
I think every day's a kerfuffle. But I think this one's best left explained by Tord. He had rightfully instructed us not to cause any trouble in town. And then he immediately caused trouble in town.
Of course, yes.
And possibly with the ruling family here. And the sheriff. And the taxes. And a local group of brigands.
With every word, Sir John's shoulders slump just a little more.
On the bright side, you'll have to wait till the new sheriff gets here for them to be able to do anything. Because Tord killed the other sheriff.
Ah. Good. Wonderful.
On the bright side, the fishing's nice.
Oh, wonderful. Have we caught a perch or something that we might fry? What?
I hold up a fish and I have no idea what it is. And I'm just like...
I look at Eddard.
He also has no idea what it is.
Well, we'll have to ask my retainers when they awake.
I'm gonna go wake up Tord now.
Yes, of course, of course.
Before, I'm glad you're not dead. And he just kind of goes up the stairs to find Tord.
To himself, so John is like, I'll just keep sipping water.
So I'll get upstairs to Tord's room and just like rap on the door.
Who is it?
It's Dane.
Oh, young Dane. Open. Come.
So I open the door and like there's this big fish like in front of Dane as he walks in.
Tord is like buttoning his tunic, not fully donning armor, but preparing to come downstairs. Holy shit! Is that breakfast?
Yeah. I'll hand it to you. Like, here.
Tord, like, tears in the gills, is holding it up. Like, good God, man. Like, arm around you, like, really, really proud of you. God damn it, Dane. If I wasn't happy with you this morning, I don't know what kind of mood I would be in.
Sir John's awake.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Twinkletoes is awake. About time. I tell you what, I haven't slept that good in days.
Oh. So we kind of Eddard kind of recapped Sir John on what happened. But of course he wants to hear your version of it. So I told him I'd come upstairs and get you.
And get me you have. Let us go.
So yeah, I'll go back downstairs and probably eat a second breakfast because maybe no one will pay attention to the fact that Dane's eating breakfast twice. And that'd be a nice change for him.
Well, he's certainly done enough chores already this morning to work off most of what he ate the first time around.
Right. Well, I'm gonna eat over here.
Thord is like kind of jiving down the steps right now, like a little sidestep. sits down next to Sir John. Sorry, continue.
No, you're good. I was just going to say you find Sir John and Eddard sitting at a table, and Dane has kind of made his way off to a table off to the side to sit by himself.
The valiant, the magnificent, the bold. Sir John, how you feeling?
Like I was kicked in the head by a horse yesterday.
Yep, I could see that. You were looking pretty peaked, a little green of the gills.
I hear something similar happened to our party.
No, I don't think anyone got kicked in the head by a horse.
John sips some more water. Tord, I hear yesterday, how would you say it? Shit hit the barn wall. What's the turn of phrase again? I can't remember.
Well, you see, it's an idiom from back east, really. A turn of phrase. I think it means stuff went really well, actually.
No, I don't think so. A sheriff is dead?
A corrupt sheriff.
Be that as it may, he bears the seal of the crown.
Well, in a way, so did, what's his name?
Look, no need to bring up the past. What are we going to do about this situation? Are we leaving? Should we be gathering our things? What?
Well, we should definitely be leaving. Probably soon. But in good news, there's an attorney that I caught wind of yesterday.
Attorney? Nearby?
Not too far, I don't believe.
Far enough?
Refresh me on the name. Jeremy Gamastage?
It is in the new capital of Malrich. Malrich.
It was the Festival of the Harvest?
I believe that is correct, yes. I have to get my notes from last session to get you the name of the festival, but yeah, it's the festival that celebrates the harvest.
Harvest Festival, people gathering. They like to see a conflict, well.
Yes, of course. Sorry, I was so out of it yesterday. I had completely forgotten when the date is. Yes, we should absolutely go to the tournament.
My thoughts exactly.
Is everyone else interested?
Sir John, you don't exactly look like you should be fighting now.
No, I'll be right as rain tomorrow. Trust me.
If you say so. Tord, on the other hand, looking great, bud.
I'm feeling great too there, Eddard.
Where is Ariana Shial? Is she still abed?
Yes.
Or do you say that with suspicion?
Well, to be fair, I seen her go to a room, but I can't vouch for what she did when she got there.
Sir John has a very thoughtful look on his face for a second. And then he's like, well, I suppose she'll come down sometime. What's for breakfast? This fish? It's not even cooked.
Fish and porridge. And Eddard is actually like, he kind of looks at the fish and he looks back up at you. Like, really, I thought it was quite delicious.
I'm thinking probably about this time when you guys were chatting about the food. Ari comes down the stairs and she doesn't quite look like herself necessarily. And very uncharacteristically, she just passes right past the porridge, which is her normal state affairs, and heads to the ale, where she gets a glass, pounds it back, and then grabs another. And then maybe sits down at the table beside Eddard.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Good morning, Ari.
What's so good about it?
You're
The sun
breathing.
is shining. It says you are breathing. The fish are plentiful.
Ari just looks at you, kind of raises her eyebrow, but I think maybe just nods and then downs the second glass.
Oh, you're in rare form this morning.
Well, somebody's got to be. So what's the plan? Has Thomas come back?
No, I believe he's still out with his merry men.
So John, it's good to see you up and about.
Thank you. I feel better than yesterday, anyway.
Well, you're looking a little bit better, I'd say, but still look pretty.
Don't worry
horrible.
about me. This happens from time to time. I'll be fine.
Hope so. You stay over there.
Oh, I wish I could give it to you. I don't mean
No, you don't.
to start drinking water.
Eddard actually chokes on a bit of his ale.
Toward, at what point do you look back over at the fireplace inside this room?
It probably takes a little while. It's not something that's in the forefront of my mind. Probably glancing over some way through the conversation as Ari sat down, perhaps in between us. Or in between me and the fire, rather.
It's as you're kind of doing so that your eyes maybe just pass over and you see something pale kind of sticking out of the ashes.
And I recognize it, I imagine.
Not really. From here,
No?
it's kind
Okay.
of it's a small amount of something sticking out from under the ashes. It doesn't really have much of a shape, so much.
Well, then, as Ari and John are kind of speaking, I will get up to go seemingly mess with the fire.
So there hasn't been a fire made yet for this morning, and it's nothing more than just the cooled charcoal and the ash from last night's fire that remains. But this small little pale thing is sticking out from underneath some of the heaped ashes from the fire last night, and as you kind of move them about, you can see that it looks like cloth. And if you move enough of the ashes out of the way, it's a doll. It's not stuffed, and it's plain, almost blank. And with it in the ashes, you find 6 steel needles that are probably 5 inches long, as well as a lock of hair, none of which are burned.
This may be a long shot, but do I know where this hair comes from? Can I find out? Is it my hair or someone that I'm seeing in the party?
It is not anybody's that you recognize right off the bat. Oh, wait. It is not anybody's that you recognize right off the bat. It is the same color hair that the doll had whenever it was made in another visage. You tell me, what color is this hair?
It's probably a dirty blonde. That's darker towards the roots, if that's possible to tell. One end being lighter than the other.
Okay.
I think Tord would attempt to scoop these up from the ashes.
You do so. And the ash, as you're picking them up, kind of leaves soot on these items as if it was the first time that it had touched them. They were clean before you grabbed them up with the handful of ash. But you can absolutely gain all of these items.
And I simply recognize this is a kind of undepicted one of these dolls that I've been carrying around.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of one that hasn't been through whatever ritual it was that binds this to a person.
I'll pick it up and return to the table. There's a certain paleness to Tord's face as he returns. It seems my appetite has left me a bit.
Tord, it's about this time that the door to the tavern opens, and your friend, Sir Thomas Kane, enters. He looks up to see you kind of standing by the table and doesn't seem to pay much attention to your demeanor. He says, good morning, Tord.
Thomas, how are you now?
Well, we need to talk.
Very well. Privately or in the presence of my friends?
He kind of looks down at the table where at least the other three of you are seated. Dane, you can see and hear all of this happening. He kind of studies you each for just a brief moment. Well, I suppose that they can hear what I have to say if you trust them.
I do.
He kind of lingers for a bit longer once more on Ariana Shial. You can see that he almost has an apologetic expression. Almost. He turns and he says, well, very well then. We should at least do it over ale. And he kind of motions for the keep to bring over a tankard. He finds a stool, kind of lowers himself down, and kind of looks at all of you. Sir John, he looks at you and he says, You were not feeling well whenever you came in yesterday. It seems you are doing better.
I am better, thank you, though I am not quite back to normal.
I see. These ailments tend to take it out of a man. It's difficult to bounce back.
They do. As with any obstacle, though, we rise to the challenge and overcome.
He kind of nods his head like maybe he wasn't quite expecting the speak of a highborn. He kind of looks toward as if to say, you travel with with somebody who's a stuffed shirt. He says, I don't believe that we were properly introduced. I was given your name, sir, but I feel perhaps it's better that we do proper introductions. My name is Sir Thomas Kane. I am the town reeve of Aelin Village.
And I am Sir John Lightenor, scion of the House Lightenor, wielder of the family blade.
The Lightenors? He kind of takes your hand and shakes it. I heard that there was some trouble over in Corwall recently.
As there is trouble from time to time everywhere, I suppose. But here we are.
Indeed. Well, speaking of such troubles, we are in a bit of a situation, I'm afraid. The events of yesterday went rather poorly. It wasn't meant to lead to bloodshed. At least, not much. You see, the local baron, name of Fetterlan, he's taken up to chaining the river, and it demands these hefty tolls from the barge merchants. In addition, mind you, to the high taxes that we already pay. So, naturally, the people of Aelin, who usually make their living trying to raft up and down that river, have now had to take the roads. Now the Baron has figured out this tactic, and he simply raised his taxes. People are not able to pay them, and still have enough to take care of themselves and their families. So, in response to this, a local group of men and women have banded together. And the people have been calling us the merry men of Aelin Shirewood. And that is who attacked the Baron's knights and claimed the tax money. We plan to remove the Baron from his castle and from his seat of power. And I would be lying if I didn't say that we need your help. What do you say?
Sir John looks at the others and says, well, it would seem opposing the crown is becoming a specialty of ours.
Is that a yes, then?
I can't speak for all of us, but I've told you before, I'll help you.
As I have already as well.
And the two of you? He looks to the two junior members of the group.
believe I made it clear where Tord goes, I follow.
I see.
I'm not gonna let them get themselves killed.
Good. Good. He kind of claps his hands. That's good news this morning. So, we have a plan, though I'm sure that you're used to doing things in your own manner, whatever that may be. Do you wish to hear our plan, or would you like to try to concoct one of your own?
Well, it seems that when I take initiative, it doesn't exactly go the way everyone wants it to.
It's good to know that some things don't change.
It's tradition.
It must be at this point.
I digress. What is your plan?
Right. So, he brings in a map of the general area and kind of lays it out on one of the tables. This early in the morning, there aren't very many people here at the tavern. It's just basically Thomas, the keep, and the five of you. We see him pointing to several different locations on the map, explaining that there is a river that runs near Aelin, runs all the way past where the Baron is seated, in the town of Raisenfliot. The plan, as he lays it out, is to pose as river merchants and sail a barge up to the toll chain that is nearest Raisenfliot, where the taxes are collected and consolidated. There, whoever is posing as the river merchants are intended to jump the knights, who are there to collect the taxes and the tolls, and then sail upriver, where this small side river leads directly into the underbelly of the Baron's castle. At that point, he looks to all of you. So does this all sound fair to you? Anything you want to add to this?
Well, I would hate to upset any plans you've already had in preparation. I'm in.
I do not know that we'll be able to remain undercover, but can certainly travel.
Do you wish to put yourselves as the guys for these river merchants? Or do you want to be part of the second wave to attack afterwards?
I do not look like a merchant. I should sit out.
I can fix that. Tord, where do you plan on going?
Personally, I would like to be a part of the second wave as to not jeopardize the plan any more so than I've already done.
Suppose you're right. Would help us to keep probably more of a low profile once the chaos has started.
But
But
We are fairly effective at what we do.
So you're saying with you on the front lines, the chances of survival for the others are better. That's what I'm gathering. Am I right?
Not just me, the 5 of us. The sword of Vykaril.
I'm just poking fun.
The sword of Vykaril. Thomas says as he kind of raises an eyebrow in your direction toward.
Well, you see...
Hey, look, you're the merry men of Pondshire or whatever. We can have our name too.
It is not for me to judge, surely. I did not mean offense, young squire, forgive me. So, it sounds like the sword of Vykaril will be leading the second charge then, after the ruse is up.
Sir John, Ariana Shiel, Edid, is this where you feel comfortable? Dane?
Well, I suppose, and I kind of look over at Sir John, I do look like a merchant. I mean, I could do either. Whatever's best.
I'm comfortable with the second wave. I think that's where I'll fit.
Okay.
Yeah, looking at you, Tord, you and I don't really fit in here, so I think we kind of stick out. So maybe the second wave would be the better.
Edid had mentioned that he had a means of getting around that.
For how long?
How long does your spell last, Edward?
Which spell? I'm sorry.
The one that changes people's appearance.
Oh, disguise. Me. That actually only works on me. Prestidigitation is what I was referring to for Sir John, to make him look dirty.
Oh, I see.
No, but mine, I just have disguise self.
Okay.
I do have invisibility, though. That I can cast on anyone.
There you go. And that's like 10 minutes.
Let me have a look.
It's a lot shorter than it used to be in previous editions.
Invisibility. A creature you touch becomes invisible until the spell ends. Concentration up to an hour.
Hour. Okay, excellent. So, yeah, that's also a possibility. It's kind of just about where you guys are the most comfortable. It seems like he's happy to have you guys perform whatever role that you want to in this assault.
Let's bring up the rear.
All right, then. I'll put some of my lads and lasses in at the barge. I will go forward as planned with the ruse of being merchants. Then, once the guard comes down to collect, they will spring the trap, and we are to set upon the remainder of the guards that are still in the tower, so that they're not able to reinforce their numbers, and we'll separate them. So, that will require your lot to get close enough to this tower without being spotted or seen, at least without being thought of as a threat. Is that something you think you could do? Good. Okay. It is planned for tomorrow. We will be going early in the hours of morning, before the sun has completely risen, so as to use the fog that settles on the river for a bit of cover. So we have the day to prepare and, well, anything that you may want to take care of before. I'm sure everything will be fine.
Most assuredly.
So I have know your enemy, and we've definitely been talking for at least a minute. So can I use that to find out some of this guy's qualities?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to know his class levels. So I learned his power level, first of all. And then I want to know his constitution and his class levels.
Okay. Constitution and his class levels. So...
And I think you don't have to tell me like what class it is, you just have to tell me the level.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Total class levels and constitution score. Okay, so his constitution score is probably a 16, I would say. And class levels, well, he's an NPC, he doesn't really have class levels, so I guess probably be about 5.
Okay. So like I think then for NPCs that aren't fully statted out or something, then the power level thing would be probably fine. Just to know generally, like, are they tougher than us? Are they not as tough as us? That sort of thing.
So, one-on-one, he would probably stand his ground fairly well, but would end up losing, ultimately. Against most of you. But against most of the other people that you've met, he's probably a formidable foe. You might have been caught up on the fact, I don't know if Sir John would or not, but his main sword fighting hand is crippled. So he fights with his offhand.
Cool.
Again, I don't know what Sir John might know of it, but and I don't know how public it is, period, to tell you the truth, but Ari was the cause of this crippling some time ago.
Okay.
Did you kill the bandits? You almost killed one of the bandits. I think Torg stepped in and saved his life.
Yeah, I was asking those, and it sounded like I wasn't clear if when the party went off after this wagon, like they killed the bandits and the sheriff, or if the bandits just happened to die in the midst of it.
So we killed the sheriff and his guards with little solicitation.
There were two... Oh, no. 2 guards ran into the woods and almost got away, but they were chased down and killed. But one of the bandits that was fighting alongside of you, I believe Tord, cut down in one swipe. But then, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Baron, but you stepped in and actually healed him.
Yeah, Tord recognized the folly of his bloodlust. and he healed the guy he fucked up.
Right. It became clear partway through the battle that the bandits were fighting alongside Thomas and were helping you guys. Okay. So, is there anything that you guys want to try to do before you set this plan in motion? Anything you want to spend the day doing?
First question. We did just get a long rest before I reset my thingamajigger. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah, you guys managed to get a good night's sleep last night. At least most of you
Excellent. Excellent.
did. Ari might have tossed and turned a little bit.
Just making sure I don't reset my spell slots unwarranted. After breakfast winds down and we all kind of get ready to do our thing, Tord's going to approach Eddard, but if Eddard has something he wants to do first, I don't want to consume all your character's time.
No, totally good.
Tord will try and catch you alone, if possible.
Yeah, one thing that Eddard would do is he wants to see if he can procure a set of like commoner's clothes, because he doesn't want to wear his new Pendrake cloak and pin and all that stuff into battle and his fineries. He just wants to kind of be as low-key as possible. So he packs all that away in his bag and tries to get a set of commoner's clothes.
Yeah, that can absolutely, easily be found here.
Yeah.
Especially because, at least the way I picture Eddard, he's not particularly tall or short or thin or heavy. So I don't imagine it would be difficult.
Just
to
an
find
average
clothes.
guy.
Yeah, I don't imagine it would be hard to find clothes in his size at all.
Yeah. So after he does that, he heads back towards the inn. That's probably where you catch him.
Eddard, do you have a moment?
Sure. What concerns you, bud?
This would probably be best in private, and he would probably either take you to his room or go to your room, whichever is better, and close the door once we get there.
Yes.
Moving aside, perhaps like the wash basin or something. Tord will remove the grimoire from his satchel, as well as this blank doll. Now, I know there is some questions as to why I took this. And you're free to ask those questions, but I need your help. And
Tord, I think you and I both know, out of everyone in our group, that I'm most understanding of all types of magic. And out of character, I do believe that I actually identified that book for you after we got it some time ago. So this isn't the first time you've seen it. The doll parts, though, this is the first time.
When you looked through this book the last time, was there anything that mentioned these dolls? The nails?
Jeremy, do you think there would be something of a curse akin to that in that book?
Yes, absolutely.
I do recall one spell. A hex.
In other words, not good.
Well, can go both ways.
I know we're appreciating magic here, but how often have you seen something or heard of something like this involving someone doing it out of the kindness of their heart?
A hex, you mean? My knowledge of magics of that sort come only through my mentor, Reagan. So not much. I've not much experience with these kind of things, but there are tales, folk tales, about these sorts of things. Not often do you catch them on the good side of the spectrum, so to say.
Is there a way to reward ourselves from these hexes?
I don't. I'm not exactly a practitioner of warding magic. I don't know that I can cast any magic of that sort. Not learned of that.
Edit, Ariana Shiel found one of these in her visage just last night. And I had been carrying one for some time. Not of our time together. And I threw it in the fire. And I found this in its place this morning. Blank.
See? Would you wonder, did you want to create one of these dolls?
I know that that's beyond me.
And it may be beyond me, but trust, I will do what I can to help you learn of this type of magic so that we can do this thing.
In my time with you, I've gained some insight in how prior knowledge can really benefit a lot of things.
That is certainly true.
And I think anything we can learn about these would be very, very valuable.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll take the parts and I can have a look over them quickly.
They're yours.
Okay, so before he does anything rash, I'm going to go ahead and roll an Arcana check just to see if I can get a sense of magic about the parts themselves. If that's cool with you. So,
Yes, that's fine.
okay. 21.
Okay. It is a magic that you are not entirely familiar with. This is certainly the realm of what is considered black magic.
Yeah.
And these parts are kind of what is necessary in order to at least do part of this ritual. It's kind of like the physical components, if you will, of this ritual. The pins, your guess is correct, just from meta knowledge that you have as a player. Where these needles are put into this doll once it's been made into the likeness causes extreme pain, suffering at that point, and the hair is likely belonging to whoever this doll was made into the likeness of before it became a blank, before it was burned.
Well, there is something definitely inherently magic about the dolls. Now, like I said, my knowledge with the black magic is very limited, but I do think there might be a way to counteract pain or reverse the magics within. You see these pins to cause pain to the person who the doll is crafted in their likeness, but what would happen if you cast a healing spell on it, or if you tried to ward something from it? I'm willing to bet that you would be able to protect a target with this sort of magic, even despite the negative connotations and negative stereotypes the dark magic gets.
Yeah, I think I understand. I would hate to have you incriminate yourself any further by holding this, but I'll take it if you don't want to.
Don't worry about me. It's already bad enough that somebody sees me cast any spell, let alone hold on to a doll. I don't think it makes much of a difference. However, the next time we are in a major city, I will do some research for you to see if I can figure something out about this thing.
I have one more question to ask of you.
Yes, what is it?
In your learnings of lore and history, has there ever been a mention of an entity known as Venwa?
Could I roll a history check?
You can certainly make the roll.
14.
No. You have never heard of such an entity.
No, it doesn't appear that I have any knowledge of something with that name. Why? What is it?
Personal, I think. Perhaps that's for me to find out.
I see. Perhaps.
Well, I know I more than the rest of you have intertwined ourselves with the comings and goings of Eland. And I had mentioned attorney to Sir John this morning, but in light of the sword of Vykaril, or whatever we are, I think it would be wise to maybe go to where I'm from soon.
As I said, where you go, I follow. I've more than one time ruined your chances to learn about yourself.
I don't think you've done anything that shouldn't have been done.
Then I could say the same about you and our comings and goings in the town. So you put it.
You're a loyal friend, Eddard. I haven't had many of those.
Aye. Likewise. It's been a pleasure.
Perhaps we should speak to the rest of the party.
Yes, let's if you want to I gotta get changed. Gotta get out of these
Very well. Excuse me. And Tord leaves.
Okay, so before Tord manages to find the rest of you and kind of fill you in on his conversation with Eddard, is there anything else that you guys are wanting to kind of do with your day before the next morning? No?
Well, if no one's going to speak up, I got more questions for people.
Yeah, I have one thing that I want to take care of, but it does not need to happen now. So go ahead and pick who your next target is.
My next victim. Tord's going to look for Ari.
Ari hasn't gone very far. She's probably has another glass of ale in front of her. This time she's just kind of staring into it, though.
As Tord sits down in front of you, he's going to try and pull the tankard away from you.
What are you doing?
Oh, I think we've had enough for breakfast. Save some room for lunch.
Why are you telling me what to do? And she tries to grab it back.
I'm not going to stop you from taking it. Merely making a suggestion. Ari?
You're in better spirits today. I wish I could say the same.
Look, after last night's conversation, I didn't intend to push my burdens onto you. If that is something that's affecting your mood, I certainly apologize.
No. I'm glad you felt you could share with me. It brought up so many memories, and for some reason I just could not sleep.
Do you still have the thing you found yesterday?
I do. I don't know what to do with it.
Well, look, I've done some thinking. Let's say this doll was created with the intent to hurt you, cause you pain.
To hurt me? Why?
Look, I can't begin to fathom the people you've stepped on in the many, many years you've lived. The point remains, you have it now. Why on earth would someone whose intention is to hurt you relinquish this tool to you, of all people?
So you're saying it's not to warn, and it's a peace offering?
Maybe even an apology.
But what am I supposed to do with it?
That I cannot say. It's yours. What you do with it is your own choice. I don't mean to accuse anything, but I have to ask, because I recall you mentioning it before, that you suffer from chronic pain.
I do, and sometimes it gets so terrible.
Have you felt that today?
I have.
Oh, then I guess that doesn't necessarily answer my question, but it does certainly get rid of one of the answers.
What are you going on about, Tord?
I want to know who made this.
Well, so do I.
Well, if through process of elimination I can figure that out. Look, I'm not one to be the inquisitive type. And from what I can tell, I'm wrong. But the only person that I've ever met that can make these things is dead. And well, the only person that really I can connect to her that's still alive is in this town. If you know what I'm saying.
Ari stares into the tankard for quite a while before she kind of nods. I understand.
Given what took place yesterday, I thought maybe this was an olive branch. But I suppose now only time will tell.
Jeremy, just remind me, please. Like, the doll still had all the pins and stuff in it, right? When it was given.
Yes,
bed?
it does.
Yeah,
That's correct.
I think Ari at this point would pull it back out of where she's kind of hidden it, and put it on the table between you, like between us. She hasn't done anything to it. It looks exactly the same as it did last night.
Jesus, you didn't even take the pins out.
Well, I didn't know what I was supposed to do with it. I was supposed to take the pins out.
Well, it can only help you, I'm sure.
I don't want to touch it. You do it.
All right. And I'm going to pull the pins out.
Okay. Grab a hold of these pins, and the moment that you begin to remove them, Ari, your vision goes white with pain. If you would, please, roll me a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, that's a nat 1. So, yeah, that'd be a 2 if it matters.
Okay. Ari screams in agony and falls out of her chair onto the floor. grabbing the leg that coincides with the leg where the pin that you were attempting to extract it from resided.
Jesus, Ari, are you all right?
Am I conscious or am I still out as I hit the floor?
So you didn't pass out,
Okay.
but I mean, damn close. It's probably one of the worst pains you've ever felt in your life.
I don't think she answers you, Tord. She is on the floor, probably just like curled up in extreme pain, probably trying to reach that leg, but it's almost like paralyzed with the pain.
Do you need me to take you to a room?
I don't know if you're hurting me or if you're making it better, but stop it, please. Stop it.
Well, I got one out. How's it feel now? Better? Worse?
Does it feel like the pain is ebbing or is it continuing?
So, it's not as extreme as it was, but it still hurts worse than a flare-up of this wound. And it doesn't seem to be ebbing beyond that.
No, it's not going away.
Is this causing, like, physical damage, or is this all internal?
It's difficult to tell. There's nothing, like, there's no blood or anything coming out of her leg. But the pain at least seems to be real in her mind.
For the sake of Ari, Tord kneels down, placing a hand on your knee, or wherever the pain had came from. I'm going to use some of my lay on hands to try and soothe it. Just like 10 points worth. I'm not sure if, like you said, this actually caused any damage, but in an attempt to rectify the pain I just caused. All right, maybe Edith would know. Edith might know.
If you think so.
I'd like nothing better to pull the rest of them out, but at this reaction, I don't think that's a very good idea.
How many are left, by the way? Oh. Do it.
What, all at once? Or one at a time?
All at once.
This might kill you.
Then it was my turn. I won't hold it against you.
All right, well, we both know that's not true.
Well, I won't hold it against you much. Just hurry.
Look, I'm going to do what you say, but if you fucking halt me from the gates of the Endless Wood, I'm going to be real fucking pissed.
Well, so will I be if I'm haunting you.
I'm going to pull the rest out. All at once.
Okay. You gather the other 5 of them up between your meaty orc fingers and kind of give Ari this maybe one last look, and then you pull. Ari, I need you to make another Constitution save. This one is going to be at disadvantage.
So that will be a 5.
Okay. Each of these needles, whenever they are pulled out in this manner, enacts a level of exhaustion.
Okay.
So you have just taken 5 levels of exhaustion. You are racked with pain, and you absolutely go unconscious.
Yeah, I think she lets out the probably most animalistic screech that you've heard on your journey at this point. It is very primal and filled with pain before she finally lapses into silence.
So, Aelin is not a large place. And it's certainly not known for the soundproofing in its houses and rooms. So I'm kind of curious what the other 3 of you, how you respond when you hear this blood-curdling scream come from the tavern.
I imagine that the first scream, like a lot of us heard faintly, like maybe Dane's upstairs with Sir John getting ready to go out, and knowing that Tord's downstairs with Ari, like her screaming like that, not necessarily too weird, right? They tend to get into tiffs, but when that last one, right, with all 5 pens being ripped out at the same time, it's almost like that Kool-Aid Man thing, where as Dane turns and like busts through the door as he's running downstairs.
I imagine Sir John runs out of a different door and they like smash into each other in the hallway and fall down. And Sir John, oh no, oh, keep going, we have to help. Oof.
That's funny
And gets
because
up.
Eddard actually runs out of his room too.
Scooby-Doo.
I think we're all in rooms at that moment.
3 heads poke out from the door, one on top of each other.
Hello. So yeah, Dane will book it down to the common room.
Yeah, likewise for Sir John.
But yeah, hot on the trail.
Okay, yeah, the 3 of you bust into the common room and see Tord standing over Ari. She appears to be unconscious, and
I think Tord would actually be in the process of picking her up to take her somewhere other than the common room floor.
Okay, yeah. So
All right.
Ari is not just asleep. Like she does not look well at all. There's sweat kind of beaded up all over her brow. Her face is kind of contorted in this kind of agony. And if she's making any noise at all, it's like ragged breathing and maybe like a whimper.
Tord, what happened?
Oh, no, I've done it. No, I've done it. No, I've done it. Move.
What, did you hear him? Did he say, now I've done it?
Tord, what's going on?
Edit the doll that she had.
Yes.
I pulled the pins.
Okay.
She asked me to pull the pins, and I pulled them.
Why is she passed out? I feel like that would have alleviated the pain.
If I knew what these were when I asked you earlier, I could tell you. Tord's like halfway up the steps going to Ari's room.
Let's get her out of here. Eddard just follows you.
Sir John and Dane follow up the stairs, and Sir John is like, dolls? What are they talking about?
Getting upstairs, and putting Ari in her bed. I'm going to hand the doll to Eddard. And the pins as well.
Okay. Would it make sense, Jeremy, let me know. I have the spell Identify, which is kind of like a game-breaking, ridiculous magic spell that lets you know everything about the spell that was cast on the item. Would that be okay to use here, even if Eddard didn't have previous knowledge of the magic's cast?
So you could certainly try to identify how this was brought into being.
Okay.
But you do have to spend a little bit of time doing so, I think. And
yeah, it's a minute-long cast time.
Okay. And you do feel like you understand at least the majority of what you might learn, even though you don't know how to cast the magic itself. You kind of know how this comes to be.
Okay, well, let's see. I'm going to cast Identify at first level. It takes a minute.
As Dane and Sir John walk in the door, Tord turns to Dane. Dane, you have shown aptitude with forces beyond me. With kind of a point to the doll in Eddard's hands. Do you know anything of those?
My sister had one. It's not something that would ever come up in a tale from my mother being what she was, is it?
Well, I mean, it kind of depends on if your mother would have engaged in this kind of magic or not.
I don't think so, but I wonder if her sister did, and that was part of why my father didn't like her so much.
Yeah, perhaps. So I'll leave it up to you whether you come across something like this before or not.
No. Yes. No. Not in specific. There are tales of old creatures, like the Fae in the woods, but dark creatures. Ones that can see the tapestry that binds everything, and they're able to weave them into garments or hammer them into metal or carve them into objects. And when that happens, part of a person's soul is bound to the object. But a doll, it's not the doll that would be the magic. It would be, it's like blaming a murder on a dagger. It's the tool. It's a dark tool. No.
And that means our murderer's still out there.
But what happened? What happened to Ari?
She had found this doll last night. So she told me. And asking her about it today, I thought maybe removing the pins was a good idea. I'm starting to think now that maybe that wasn't the case.
You think?
Well,
You think?
I didn't just do it of my own volition. I asked her. Asked her first.
So you didn't know what you were holding, and she didn't know what you were holding, but the two of you decided that it'd be a great idea to do this?
Now, Dane, you're raising your voice to me, and as someone who tampers with things that you don't understand, I don't think this is justified or fair. I'm coming to you looking for help. Now.
Which one of us tampers with things we don't understand?
You tell me where your powers come from, and I'll oblige you with the answer.
We
At
all
least-
tamper with things we don't understand, Dane.
At least I can heal people.
We have a friend in need.
If you can heal people, heal her then. Fix what I've done.
Not fixing what you've done.
Then leave.
Right, because I'm the one that did something wrong here.
No, but at least I'm trying to fix it.
Are you? You're
Yes,
waving a
I
doll
am.
around the room, asking everyone if they've ever seen it. This is the first time that's come up.
Well,
Did you
it's
fix
a
the sheriff
sword.
too?
I sure did, Dane, and I can fix you too if you'd like.
I'd like to see you try. And I put my hand out towards your chest, and a sword appears in it with a point at your throat. Can you do that too, Tord?
Use it. Swing your sword.
Why? So both of us can be wrong?
Only one of us will be.
Yeah, one of us will be dead. You want to take a bet?
I don't
No
gamble.
one dies today. Not either of you, and not Ari either.
So destroy the doll.
From what you just said, I don't think that that's a good idea.
So stupid. Where did she get it?
If I had the answer to that question, I would be on the way there.
And why did she come to you about it? Not Eddard, someone who practices magic.
If I had the answers to her motivations, I could tell you.
So there has to be some connection. She doesn't just turn to you. Quit hiding things.
What do you want me to say? I can't make these. I know someone that could, and she's dead.
So you do know about them.
No. I don't know what they are.
But you knew someone that made them and could identify that it wasn't just another doll.
I don't have the answers that person has.
Then who was the person?
My wife, Dane. Forgive me if I don't feel like reliving these wounds every day more than I already do. She was burned as a witch, and she's dead now. Satisfied?
Obviously not. Did she apprentice someone?
No.
Did she ever speak of someone visiting her? My mother always had people visit her.
She took walks in the woods and spoke of spirits and natural entities.
What type of spirits?
Dane, you're asking me questions beyond my knowledge. I don't know.
You're a husband. I know they don't listen well, but when she did talk to you, what did she say?
She spoke that magic is inherently neutral in nature, and it's the purpose of these magic users to dictate how they use it for themselves. Free will.
She made these dolls that could trap people's souls.
I only seen her make one.
Of who?
Me.
Why?
I don't know.
Where's your doll, Tord?
I don't have it.
Tord, was your wife alive when you met your friend, the Reeve of this place?
Thomas was Zara's brother.
I'll be back.
It wasn't him, Dane.
How do you How do you know?
Thomas isn't like that. I've known him for many years, and I've never once seen him use a bit of magic. Now, I know that them being related, and I'm thinking or thought the same thing up until this morning when I pulled these pins.
So it's just a coincidence that the town, that your brother-in-law, whose sister could make these things, he runs it. He's in over his head in a bunch of shit. He has a history with Ari, and all of a sudden, one of these dolls shows up.
Hey,
If this was his tool to harm her, why would he relinquish control of it? He gave it to her, willingly.
Because he knew that curiosity would get the better of all of us. How many times has it? And how effective was that?
You know, I love Thomas like a brother, but I think we're giving him a little bit too much credit here.
Are we? Are we? He's masterminding a group of individuals ready to take out a contingent of knights over some tolls?
Well, the ragtag group of us managed to overtake Kerwall.
To what effect? What goods come out of that so far?
I'm not trying to make comparisons here. I'm just saying.
And I'm saying that people change, Tord. You've changed. Just in the period I've known you, you've changed.
It's safe to say we all have.
And therefore we can't be blinded by the images of people that once were. Have you looked him in his face? Have you seen the real man that stands there now? Or do you still see your brother, your friend? If you don't think it was him, go get him and let him speak plainly that it wasn't.
Very well.
I can't heal her, Tord. I can heal wounds, not whatever this is.
Then perhaps instead of lecturing me, you can step down off your high horse and help.
I just did. Go get him.
I've had about enough of this tone you've adopted.
You can deal with it
Disrespect
tomorrow.
You give your mentor.
You can deal with it tomorrow. Right now, go fetch the only other person that may have some idea of what's going on.
I agree, Tord. You can deal with it tomorrow. I think it would do Dane some good for you to deal with it tomorrow.
Then deal with it tomorrow I shall.
You can
Tord
go
leaves.
now.
Tord leaves.
Did you have something to say, Sir John?
I need to see what what the state of the chainmail of my retainers is like. I suspect it shall need to be rolled quite a lot today.
Well then, go ahead. Go inspect it.
No. How about you go and inspect it, Dane?
I don't think so.
Excuse me?
Said no.
You are a squire.
I said no.
And here in this new world we've created, that still means something between you and I. You've said what you came here to say, and now you will go to the retainers and you will roll their armor.
And what are you going to do? Stand here with your sword over her? What healing magic do you have?
You refuse to help?
No, I don't. So far, I'm the one that supplied the most help. I asked questions the rest of you were too afraid to ask.
Yeah,
I'm not blinded by an ego.
Sir John's going to grab Dane by the collar and just throw him out of the room.
No, you're not.
I'm sure going to try.
Okay, let's get some rolls. I love you guys.
I love these people too.
Let's see. I guess what we're going to need first is going to be an opposed grapple. So that'll be it has to be an athletics coming from you, Sir John. And then Dane, you can use either athletics or acrobatics, your choice.
Okay. 24 for me.
Very nice to have a cigarette. It's like role-playing sex.
I'm happy to have Dane as my partner any day.
Just got to point him in the right direction, you know?
Yeah, sometimes, right? Sorry, I'm just looking up a couple of spells real quick.
Oh boy. Oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So, what we'll probably do is once we get this resolved here,
Oof.
we'll probably take our break.
I tried 21.
Okay. So, though he resists more than you may have expected, Sir John, you have to use a considerable force, but you're able to wrestle Dane from the room.
But as soon as you grapple me, I'm going to go ahead and need you to make a Constitution saving throw. I'm sorry. Strength saving throw. My bad.
Strength, okay.
Yeah.
That's 25.
Okay. So you don't take any damage. However, you are moved away from me 10 feet as a loud clap of thunder explodes around my body.
Okay. So, yeah, I fly up against the wall, and the look of shock and disdain on my face is enough to shrivel everyone's clothes right off their fucking bodies. And then I want to charge forward, and I'm just gonna palm Dane in the chest.
Don't do it. Don't move.
What happens if I move?
You're going to take more damage.
That's fine. I'll take more damage.
I know you will.
This time.
All right. Oh. so it's not a lot of damage anyway. Oh, good. It's only 5 points of damage.
Yeah, it's fine.
However, you're moved back 10 more feet.
Do I not get a chance to like interact with you at all?
Nope. As soon as you move, until you can break my concentration.
And I have to do that from a distance?
No, I guess you just have to be able to move more than 10 feet. Like you'd have to. So the way it works, like when I was DMing this, is since you could technically have 2 attacks, you can choose to move, get hit back, and then move in and grab me because I can't do anything for that second one because it uses my reaction. If that makes sense.
Yeah, then I'm absolutely gonna do that.
Okay, yeah. So basically, yeah, you would charge at me again, and it would go wah! And just throw you back again. But then I can't do anything because the spell sucks.
Cool. So whereas before I would have like grabbed you by the chest, this time I'm just gonna shoulder check you. And this is going to be non-lethal damage. I'm going to use inspiration on this. And let's see. So that is, I guess, unarmed, it would be 24 to hit.
Yeah, you definitely hit me.
And then what would unarmed damage be?
It's 1 plus your strength bonus.
Okay.
Unless
I'm
you
also
have-
using my maneuver, the Majestic Slash of Heaven. When I hit a creature with a weapon attack, I can expend a superiority die to attempt to drive the target back. I add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll, and if the target is large or smaller, it must make a strength saving throw. So let's see. Damage for this would be 8 plus, it's 12 total.
Okay. So as your shoulder connects with me, you could see this cascade of ice form across my chest. You'll take 5 points of cold damage from it, and the ice just melts off and falls to the floor, having absorbed the damage of your attack.
So you, let's see here.
Go flying. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you make your strength save though?
My strength saving throw came out to a 20 total.
Okay. I don't know what that means, so I don't think you actually fly backwards then.
I'll say for the story, I fly backwards.
Okay. So you fly backwards, and I imagine it's out of the room into the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And Sir John has got frost caking his shoulders, and his face is red with freezer burn, sort of. And he says, "Look at you! Cool your head, squire!" And then he closes the door in your face. And then he's going to turn around and go back to Ari.
No, I think it's just Eddard, Ari, and Sir John in the room, and Eddard has been not here for any of this. He's just holding the items in his hand, and he's got that look in his eye where his eyes and his mouth are just pouring out this purplish fog, and his hands are glowing as he's trying to identify what's going on with these objects.
I think after a few seconds, Sir John, you hear a clatter on the floor outside, and then you can see the floorboards very similarly to the cracks in the pavement back at our first battle. They begin to glow in this sort of golden hue, and I know I can't actually heal Ari, so any damage that you sustained will be healed. And then there will be this sort of golden hue that runs over Ari's body, and there is this faint smell of water and this sort of low hum of a brook as it rolls across rocks before you hear stomping down the stairs out in the hall.
And mechanically, it doesn't normally work this way, but Ari, I'm going to go ahead and say that removes one of your levels of exhaustion. Fantastic. Okay. All of you take a point of inspiration so far. These are the moments I live for as a GM.
Well, you know I don't deserve that for just sitting there.
It's not just that scene. Not just that scene. You're role-playing the shit out of identifying these objects. Awesome. Okay, so when we come back, we will pick up where we left off, kind of where Tort has gone to find Sir Thomas, and we'll kind of try to figure out exactly what is going on with this. So just sit tight. We will be back in 5-10 minutes, give or take. And
Don't turn off your cameras.
Don't turn off your cameras. Thank you. Yes. And we will be right back. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you very much for anyone who is tuning in this evening, whether you're watching with us live or watching at some point in the future. It has been a very, very intense session so far. I'm very excited to see where the second half of this is going to take us. Certainly, it may certainly not take us where I had planned, but that's always exciting to see how we're going to navigate that. So I'm very, very excited to get back into this. But there has been a request for a slight modification to some of the last things that were said just before we went to break. So we're going to do this end of the commercial break, as it was put, kind of coming back from commercial, recapping on what just happened before we tried to sell you toothpaste. Eli.
All right, so Sir John shoulder checks Dane. Dane flies out into the hallway, slams against the wall, goes down to the floor. Sir John, in 2 strides, is at the door, and he looks down on Dane and says, "Eddard wields black magic as well. I myself, forged a pact with a Fae in exchange for my father's life, and then abandoned him immediately afterward. And you carry a Fae blade within your body. You see the peril that we walk on this road. Clearly, we all do. But if we do not walk it together, we will die alone. Look at yourself. Cool your head, squire." And then I slam the door.
So maybe the blade clatters a little bit louder, more like it's thrown to the ground. And then everything else still happens, and there are those loud stomping feet down the stairs.
Perfect. Dane storms out of the tavern. Eddard continues to work his magic in the corner of the room. Ari, slightly rejuvenated by Dane's magic, though unseen by poor Dane, lies still on the bed. Sir John paces somewhere between the bed and the door, I would imagine. And Tord, you have managed to find Sir Thomas. They are making preparations for this assault that's going to take place the next morning. He kind of sees you coming and turns and kind of walks from what he's doing to kind of meet you a little bit out of earshot, away from where the rest are working. Is everything okay? It sounded like there was screaming. A lot of screaming.
This town isn't very big.
That's very true.
I know you're busy, but I request some more of your time.
Of course. What can I help you with?
Do you mind walking and talking?
Certainly, yes. Yes. He kind of drops the rope coil that he had with him, kind of off to the side, kind of dusts his hands off. Here, this way.
Well, you and I, we've got a past.
Okay.
And, well, you're a brother to me. You've always been a brother to me.
I feel the same way, Toad. Yes.
Good. Well, finding out yesterday that you and Ariana Shiel had a history was a bit jarring. Perhaps for me.
Imagine my surprise whenever you rode into town, much less in her.
Exactly. Well, Look, I'm just going to say it. Do you dabble in black magic?
Do I doubt you're serious?
Thomas, I wish I was kidding.
Tord, Zira was the one in the family who had all of the experience with magic.
Experience is one thing, Thomas. I've known many a man to do a lot of risky things when the tools at which they accomplish their goals are taken from them. And a lot has been taken from you. I just need to know that you're still fighting the good fight.
His demeanor kind of changes whenever you bring up all that he's lost. He kind of matches your solemnness. Tord, I don't know what you're getting at or where this is coming from, but no, I don't practice any kind of magic, much less black magic. You know, you and I both know that the entire concept of black magic is horseshit to start with.
I agree. And
Can I roll insight just to
Sure.
make sure? I think because I can sit here and assume, but
Yeah, sure.
oh god, not good. Blinded by friendship and brotherhood. Looking at a 6.
6. Yeah, I mean, everything he's saying seems to be genuine.
I place my hand on his shoulder.
sorry. I hope I haven't.
Toward you. You have always been poor with choosing your words. I would not be able to have remained your friend for all these years if I got offended by what you've said.
That's certainly a quality I respect about you, Thomas.
But what is this? Does this have to do with the screaming and yelling that was happening? That squire came storming out of the tavern, and he seemed very, very upset. Is everyone okay?
Something's happened to Ariana Shiel. And though the means at which it happened is out of my control, it was ultimately me that did it. Do you remember the dolls? Zara's dolls?
Yes. Does this have to do with the doll? The one of her?
No. This was one we found that looked like Ariana Shiel. It was full of pins.
The one of the elf?
Yeah.
I gave it to her. Last night.
You? Where did you
Yes.
get it?
I've carried it for a long time. Zira gave it to me.
Oh, towards stomach turns to coal.
She knew that this elf took my ability to claim my rightful title as a full knight. She saw the whole thing happen. She was hiding out of sight. So she made this doll. I didn't understand what it was, but she told me that it would cause this elf to suffer.
It seems I've aided in that.
You?
I pulled the pins out, Thomas. And Ariana Shiel is now practically catatonic in her bed.
He kind of puts a hand up kind of to his face, kind of strokes his beard for a second. I am sorry that happened. If I had known...
This isn't your fault, Thomas. It was mine.
Look, I wanted to give this to her as a means of showing that I harbored no ill will any longer. I don't want anything to do with the doll, especially knowing that it was actually doing something.
I believe you. I have reason to believe my party would like to hear that from you as well, but I'm not entirely sure how it will go.
Well, if it's the truth, then it should be heard. If there's misconception, I won't stand by.
You're an honorable man, Thomas.
I try, Tord. But at the end of the day, I suppose I am still a thief.
And I'm still an orc.
Well, please lead the way. I would like to clear the air, if we can. Especially before we get to the task tomorrow. If my people are going through with the task.
I wouldn't expect any less. And I don't necessarily anticipate our withdrawal, per se, but like you said, clear the air.
Yes, please, let's go do so.
I imagine as you head back towards the tavern, you see Dane out there at this barrel, and it's loaded up with chainmail, and he's very piss-offedly rolling it back and forth with no hills, which is twice as hard, because there's no down.
I think piss-offedly is my new favorite adverb. I'm going to use that the next time we play Mad Libs. So, I imagine that Thomas probably at least gives Dane an eye as they're walking past, and then kind of turns to Tord as if to say, should I even ask?
Tord doesn't even look up. He's looking at the ground, walking towards the tavern.
Okay. So Tord and Sir Thomas return to the room. I suppose maybe does Tord like knock at the door? Just go in.
Yeah, definitely. Like a light rap on the door.
Sir John. Edit.
Sir John comes to the door and opens it maybe a little harsher than he means to. Tord, welcome back, and please accept my apologies on behalf of my squire.
I don't rightfully believe that the apology is solely on your shoulders to bear, though I do appreciate it. Truth be told, I feel as if I owe the boy an apology myself.
That is between the two of you, but if I may suggest, perhaps you would deliver an apology after also administering a lesson in humility.
Right. Takes a village to raise a child. That's what they say back in Angkor.
Ugh. Raising a child? Is that what we're doing?
No, he's not a child anymore. And we can't treat him as such all the time. There is wisdom that he speaks. Old wisdom. We should do him the respect to hear him when he speaks. He speaks from a just place, though with fire.
Yes, indeed. But please, come in. Have you found some way to help, Ari?
Help, perhaps not, but at least an explanation.
Yes. Sir Thomas says as he kind of steps into the room behind Tord. His hands kind of clasped kind of in front of him. It appears that my actions have led to a little bit of confusion. Well, I'm the one who gave Ariana Shield the doll. It was in my possession for some time, and it was given to me by my sister. I don't know if you are aware or not, but the elf and I have met before. We did not know each other then either. She taught me a lesson that I needed to learn very badly, but in doing so, she changed the course of my life. For a time, I did not see that it was necessarily for the better. So, I carried a large amount of resentment for her, even though I did not know her name for many, many years. And my sister gave me this doll as a gift to punish her for what she had done to me. When your group helped yesterday and showed where you stood, it felt wrong to keep it any longer. So I wished to wash my hands of it. So I gave it to her.
Sir John kind of looks over to Eddard.
He still has that look. I don't know what he's found yet.
Well, I suppose Dane will have to be informed about this.
I'll do it.
Oh, for what it matters, Tord, when you got to the top of the stairs, you'd have seen Dane's sword just laying there on the ground.
Is that the rusted blade?
The one that's been polished back to not being rusted? Mm-hmm.
If I seen it, I think Tord would have picked it up in an attempt to get it somewhere at least. I mean, it's a sword, so it doesn't need to be safe, but at least where it's not out in the open.
Okay.
Well, if everyone is of the same scroll of parchment, I'll go speak with Dane.
Okay. Eddard, you have finished your casting of this spell. And you have learned the ritual that it takes to create one of these dolls, as well as kind of the ritual that it takes to bind someone to it. It's complicated in that it takes a lot of different I don't know, ingredients, if you will. You know, there's, you know, it's not quite like this, but it's, you know, eye of newt, tongue of toad, you know, that kind of shit. So it takes some doing, and it involves having a part of the person. Hair, blood, teeth, skin, toenails, something like that. That you kind of sew up inside the doll along with whatever you stuff it with. And then, again, just like a voodoo doll in our realm, in our folklore, wherever these needles are placed, that causes pain. And it seems like these needles in particular had some kind of warding placed on them so that they could not be changed. They could not be messed with without causing extreme suffering from the target.
Okay. So, with that, Sir John, you would have probably seen this. Edward is just kind of sitting with his eyes open, but like fogged over with this like purpley haze. And then when he finally gets it, he just and he looks around the room and he looks in his hands and he sees this stuff and he just throws it to the ground really quickly and he starts to go to his bag. He pulls out a book and a quill and an inkwell and he just starts writing like really, really fast, just trying to make sure that he gets all of the specifics of everything that he learned in that what felt like eternity, learning about these things all down so that should they ever need them. And when he finishes, he just kind of he closes his book and he's just breathing a little heavy. And he puts his book back and he looks back to the ground. And he picks the doll back up and the needles. And he just kind of blurts out, they weren't just normal needles. He holds up the needles. Enchantment. Not normal. Not the usual. It's probably why she's like that. Intense pain. And he's just kind of trying to grab words out of the air, where normally he's pretty well composed and can formulate sentences well. He just seems like in a frantic state. But after he kind of gets all that out, he gets the information out of his mind into the book and into the air when he speaks it. He kind of moves back against the wall and just props himself up and closes his eyes. Takes a moment.
Sir Thomas kind of looks at Tord. You've managed to gather a very eclectic group of people.
A fair sample of Vykaril itself.
Is there anything that I can do? He kind of looks worriedly over at Arcana Check.
No, I think what's happened can't necessarily be undone that easily.
Well,
I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it.
Very well. If there's anything that we can do to help, please let us know. But there are preparations that I should return to. I will leave you to it.
You and I are walking the same way. I'll walk with you till then.
Very good. He'll turn and leave with you. So meanwhile, outside, Dane, at what point during this this rolling of the barrel do you find yourself close to the river?
I think what happens is as Dane is rolling this, he's not necessarily rolling it back and forth in the same path, and it sort of just started to turn a little bit, and he's purposely trying to exhaust himself. There's a lot of like hard pushing, and perhaps at one point it catches a little bit of a hill that does run down to the river. So he's tearing off after it, already winded from having pushed it. And probably shortly after Tord passed by and wouldn't even look up at him, even after his friend, had seen me. And so I think, he's probably sitting down at the edge of the river with this barrel full of armor, partially in the river, having just stopped it before it rolled too far to be saved. And so he's, muddy up to mid-thigh and exhausted, crying those tears that boys cry when they're not really crying. You know what I mean? We're just mad.
It's while you're kind of sulking like this that you hear like distant conversation, like people just talking to one another, but it seems like somewhat far away. When you turn to kind of look for the source, you see maybe 100 yards or so upriver from you. There's a small group of women and young girls and a few young boys that are washing clothing in the river at its banks. And about half of that distance between you and this group of people, you see a solitary woman standing there washing her clothes. And after a moment, you recognize her. This is the woman that you saw when you found your rusted blade. You can hear her humming to herself as she washes clothes. You're muted.
I am. How deep is the river? And is she on the same side as I am, or is she on the opposite side?
The same side as you.
Okay.
It looks like these washers came from the town as well. And the river out in the middle is probably fairly deep. I think most of the rivers, I'm showing my ignorance here, but I think most of the rivers in England and Germany tend to be fairly deep.
Sure. Oh, I mean, that makes sense. We have a river right next to me that you can get a freaking aircraft carrier into.
There you go.
All right. So I wrench this barrel back out of the water and up far enough that it's not going to roll back in. I grunt and turn it upright. And with all of the blame I can muster, I start stomping her direction. And when I get up close and I'm sure it's her, I stop and why?
Oh. She kind of like startles. I'm sorry. Why?
Why me? Why all of this?
Look, Dane, you're going to have to be a little more specific. Why you what?
This isn't anything like the books. We're not heroes. We're not saving anything. We're killing people. We're hurting people. We're lying. Why?
She hands you a washboard.
I take it.
And she like slaps this wet bundle of cloth up against it. She says, "What do you know about washing, Dane?"
So he kneels and just assumes this is another chore, something he's done before, and perhaps out of rote just begins to wash whatever piece of cloth he was just handed.
She reaches up and she grabs your hand.
Am I doing this wrong too?
What do you know about washing?
I was trying to show you.
I didn't ask you to show me. Tell me, what do you know about washing?
It's how you get things clean. It's woman and invalid and squire work.
Oh. Is that so?
That's what my dad said.
Huh. Well, parents don't always know best. Washing is important. When the clothing, the linens are finished being washed, they're fresh. A new beginning. But in order to get them that way, I know you understand how hard it can be. Sometimes it can tear your hands apart. She kind of looks down at her knuckles, even though they're pristine. It wears you out. It's tiring work. It's miserable being soaking wet most of the day. The lye will burn your skin if you have too much contact with it.
Yeah, lies have a way of doing that.
It's this struggle. It's these hardships that make the linen and the cloth clean. It is because of this difficulty that a new beginning is possible. Do you understand me?
Yes. But when you asked me to help wash this, I didn't think someone was going to try and hold my head underwater.
My dear boy.
I don't even know what's going on anymore. I get stronger every day, and I can't tell them. There's something inside of me that fights every day to get out. And so every day, the outside of me has to fight Vykaril, and every day, the inside of me has to fight myself. And I'm so tired. But they're so much more tired than I am. You can see it in their faces. You should have seen Tord's face when he had to talk about his wife today. He's so tired. Sir John looks worse than his father, and his father was dying. And Ari, maybe she is dying. So I can't stop. But it hurts. Why don't they tell you that in the books?
Because that's not the interesting part. That's not what grabs the attention of young and eager boys.
I suppose not.
But it is essential to the story. It is essential to your story. I chose you for a reason. There are many others in this land who are capable or powerful or rich or strong. You have a spirit that can get this done. And so I chose you. Those you travel with are worthy companions. They have their own hardships just as you do. But they too are strong in spirit. This task, the reforging of Camagel, is imperative. This kingdom is dying. Without you and your companions, we are all lost. I will help you along the way as much as I can. But I am not going to be able to entirely keep the burden off of your shoulders.
Can you help me now?
Perhaps.
I don't think I have the power to undo what happened to Ariana. I don't think any of us do. We need her. I need her. Can you go back with me? Can you heal her?
I cannot return with you. I must stay here with the river, but you can bring her to me.
I can do that. If they'll let me.
While you are at it, mend the tears that you have made. Not just by your own hands, but all of you. Mend the tears and bring her to me.
All right. I'll try to return before your washing is done.
She kind of smiles. I'll be here.
So I hand her back her washboard. And I'll turn and head back to my barrel and pick it up.
She continues to hum to herself. You hear it fade as you make your way back towards the town proper.
Okay.
Okay. Eventually, Dane will return. Your intention is to go back to the room? Yeah, okay. So I think maybe there's once again, a knock at the door to Ari's room.
Yeah, perhaps a much more timid one than even towards.
I want to say that this knock is actually cut off like before its completion, as Thomas is opening the door for he and I to leave.
Dane. Well, come in.
Thomas says, I'm going to, he kind of thumbs. I'll talk to you later. He leaves.
We will meet up this evening to go over the plan once again for tomorrow.
Of course, yes.
Dane, we need to talk.
And we can. But right now, I need you to carry Ari down to the river.
Tord looks at you confused.
The river.
I can't heal her, Tord, not on my own. But I know someone who can.
The river? I think that I can do that for you.
If Sir John's okay with it, of course.
I will help to carry her.
And Eddard, if she's there, she'd be the type of entity that you might ask some of your questions.
I see. I have a few answers of my own, but it's not nearly enough.
Not about the book or anything, but
Oh,
about yourself.
certainly.
So, all right, well, I will lead the way back down to the river.
There are curious eyes upon you guys as you carry Ariana Shayal down to the river's edge. And you find this blonde woman with kind of curly hair washing clothes in the river and humming to herself. She turns as you kind of approach. Her hair moves in a bizarre fashion, almost as if she herself is underwater. And she's very, not just beautiful, she's beautiful in the same way that Firne was beautiful. This kind of otherworldly attractiveness. And she turns with this kind of painted face, this kind of gold filigreed face. And she says, "Well, at last we meet. Well, most of us." And she reaches out and kind of touches Ariana Shial's unconscious arm.
Lady, this is my family. Family, this is my patron.
I don't follow.
She's who gave me my magic, Tord. And my sword. And he just holds out his hand, and the sword that you put away safely earlier is back in his hand.
Eddard bows deeply.
There's no need for that, please.
Sir John doesn't bow or anything, but he at least like holds his hand up in the demonstration of like, I'm unarmed.
Well, we are carrying Ariana. So.
Right, well, I've got one hand.
So Dane turns to Sir John. This is her. This is the same lady from the woods.
Clearly. And he kind of looks this woman up and down, not like luring at her, but observing her in the same way that he would a potential enemy. And he looks at Dane and says, "You carry her blade."
It's had owners other than her, even if it was
Yes.
only a stick.
Well, we're all bound to this world one way or another. Lady, you say you can heal Ariana Shial?
It is within my capabilities, yes. If that is what all of you truly want.
Please. I did this.
What we want is uninteresting. What is it you want, O lady?
You already know what I want. You are to reforge the sword. This is the task that has been laid before you. It is of the utmost importance. You are the sword of Vykaril, after all.
There's no tricks this time, Sir John. No bargains. Only destiny.
A sword for a sword, and destiny at either end. Understood. Well, he looks to Eddard, and then to Ari.
Have the tears been mended? She looks at you, Dane. It will not work otherwise.
So, Dane looks to Tord. Can Sir John hold Ari, please?
I take her. Yeah.
And so Dane steps up onto like the bank of the river, like maybe right where they have some steps that come down, because this is a common washing spot. And he sort of beckons you up to the steps. Tord
obliges.
And once we're both sort of standing there, he looks up. There's like a well of tears in his eyes. You can see he's like fighting to hold back. And I'm sorry for what I said. And for how I acted. And for making you relive the pain of losing your wife. If that's something that I could take back or change, know that I would. But I promise that you could give me my lesson tomorrow. I don't know that Ari has that long. And so Dane sort of like slips out of his tunic, and you can see these like scars on his back from where he's been beat before. Not by Sir John. It's obvious that they're older than that. And he just turns his back to you.
God damn it, Dane, put your shirt back on. I'm not going to hit you. I appreciate the apology, and I can't sit idly by and not do the same. Because you're right. It was my fault. I was ignorant and I acted anyway. People suffered for it, and this isn't a new thing. This is something that I do too much. And I appreciate you being able to teach me that without being callous. Your heart's in the right place.
I don't think Dane turns around. I think at this point he's more or less like doubled over and crying.
Tord will turn you around, and he's gonna give you a hug. He's gonna get in there.
Dane, they say the bigger man walks away, but sometimes the bigger man's gotta stand up. And it's not always fighting, it's also admitting when you're wrong and being able to grow from it. So thank you for helping me grow today. Tomorrow, we do not have time for our lesson, and you're right, Ariana Shield does not have any time to waste either. We will spar in time.
And so as he's sort of embracing you, he'll look kind of around you at Sir John. And he kind of removes himself from your hug. And he'll like walk down the steps to be in front of Sir John.
So are you standing here as if to like receive blows or something?
Or a browbeating, or
Yeah. So John looks over at the barrel and says, you rolled the barrel quite far.
part of it was downhill eventually.
Have you looked at yourself? Have you cooled your head?
Oh, mud and fish guts do have a way of cooling a temper.
Then all is mended. And then Sir John is going to put a hand out and put it on Dane's shoulder. And like, Sir John isn't a very physical guy when he's not fighting somebody or sparring them. So this is a pretty big gesture. And he says, "My squire, the road is perilous, but take heart, for we can travel it together."
And we must. None of the 5 of us are capable of traveling this alone.
Indeed.
I'm sorry that I turned my magic against you. It's becoming reactionary sometimes.
And we shall keep an eye out for it.
We should return your group to 5 now.
Yes, of course. And Sir John is going to carry Ari over to the lady.
She kind of steps kind of downriver just a bit to where there's kind of this part that kind of comes in from the bank a bit, and the water's a little stiller. It doesn't have much of a current to it. And she gestures. She says, "Please, place her here. You'll have to come in and hold her."
Sir John does.
So you get into the water enough, so you're probably waist deep, give or take. And Ari, obviously, she floats on her back in the water, and she moves up beside you, this washing woman, kind of on the opposite side of Ariana Shial, and she kind of looks up and down Ariana Shial for a moment. I see. Well. She begins to move her hands kind of back and forth, inches kind of above Ariana Shial's body, kind of all the way from like ankle to shoulder, back and forth. And you can see the water starts to kind of flow over Ariana Shial's body, but she doesn't submerge. The water is coming up and over her, as if directed. And it begins to glow this kind of faint bluish green color, kind of laced with little fingerlings of gold throughout, almost like fish scales. And as this happens, this gold starts to kind of congeal and concentrate towards Ari's legs. And it continues to condense down tighter and tighter until there's this brilliant golden glow coming from the water. And just at the last minute, she plunges her hand into the water right in that spot, passing through Ariana Shial's body. And she then pulls her hand up out of the river, and there's this large golden fish. And it has this scar running down the side of its body. Just, here we are. And she's kind of fighting her, wriggling around, and she tosses it back onto the bank, where it kind of flips and flops around. Well, she needs to rest. But I think she'll feel better when she's awake.
Thank you.
It is the least I can do. I have asked a monumental task of you, of each of you.
A burden willingly bared.
As I told Dane, this task must be completed. The entirety of the kingdom of Vykaril hangs in the balance. The reforging of this blade will remake this kingdom the way that it was intended to be. So please, I know that it will be a difficult road, but it is a road you must walk. I have no one else to turn to. Eli, you're muted.
Whoops. So John, kind of helps Ari out of the water and says, "Lady, if I may ask, what course do we chart next? Where do we go from here to reforge the sword?"
I am afraid that I cannot lay the path before you any more than I have. You must decide for yourselves. There is matters of a personal sort I know that each of you pursues. These are important because they, too, forge the sword of Vykaril. You should trust your instincts. You will get there. Soon, I hope. But I trust that you will make it. She looks upriver. And you could swear that as she does so, the clouds in that direction, in the distance, darken. This task that you are on now it troubles this river, these lands. You can do good here. You need only continue the path you're already on.
Very well. Thank you.
You have my thanks, lady.
Well, you should probably get her dry and let her rest for a while. She will be fine. I think you will all be fine. She kind of smiles. Okay. So you bring Ari back to the inn. I don't know, probably Zettel, I guess. Sir John's retainer. Maybe she takes charge of like getting Ari changed into fresh clothes and dried off.
I remember we actually changed out the retainers that I brought with me to be a little more militaristic. So I know Zettel's not with us. I just can't remember who is.
Okay, that's fair. So then it's someone of that works at the inn. Maybe his wife or daughter or something. Yeah, I mean, unless one of you is just going to take the initiative and do so, which that would be.
Eddard will.
Yeah. Okay. So, Eddard, you are able to do so. They'll supply you with, clean towels, essentially linens to help dry off her hair and her body. And I would imagine that Ari has other clothes that she carries with her and her belongings and such. So yeah, you're able to kind of dress her in some of those and basically kind of tuck her in, let her sleep off the rest of the effects of these needles.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone else plans on leaving, but I don't think Eddard's going to leave.
Okay.
I just want to say that while he is drying her off and removing most of the wet clothing, he is going to notice that along her back there are 3 long, jagged, very harsh-looking scars that run from one shoulder all the way down to her hip.
Old, I imagine. Like pretty old and healed.
Yeah, very old by your reckoning, but it looks like they've never gone away, that like they were healed naturally.
Right. That, and I doubt anybody's. No, we haven't seen them because you always wear the armor and clothes. It's something easily concealed by clothing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he takes note of that.
Okay. So, after a while, Ari, you awaken. We'll say it's probably late evening, but not quite like early morning yet. The inn's fairly quiet, and you kind of startle awake. And if you look around, you notice that Dane is kind of uncomfortably, like, slumped over, his chin on his chest, kind of thing, in a chair, not far from your bed.
How do I feel?
You feel kind of groggy, almost like if you've overslept, like you sleep too much. When you wake up, you're kind of you're groggy, not quite hungover, but groggy, and your legs, on the other hand, feel better than they have felt in a long, long time. You don't feel any pain from them.
So Ari's going to swing her legs like out of the bed and stand on them. Normally this would cause pins and needles kind of like to go up her legs. Nothing that was terribly uncomfortable, but it always was just there. And I think this time she doesn't feel anything. Like
when you do that, Eddard rushes over. He kind of like puts his arms around you. He's not exactly sure what's going on because you kind of sat up all of a sudden. He's like, "Oh crap, what's going on?" So he kind of just moves to position his arms to catch you if you fell.
Eddard,
Are you okay? Well, when did you awake?
well, just now, but How long have I been asleep? Have I missed it?
The battle? No,
Yeah.
no. You've only been asleep for a couple of hours.
And I think it's that point where some of the memories have started to come back to her about what happened in the morning. And she looks around the room. Does she see Tord?
I would not be in your room, no.
Where's Tord?
If it's at night, I would have left.
Where's Tord?
I don't know. The others left once I got you ready for bed. I couldn't leave. Dane couldn't leave either. I'm not sure where Sir John and Tord are. How are your legs?
And she looks at you actually when you say the words, when I got you ready for bed. And she just kind of looks at you and smiles like, oh, that was you. I feel, my legs feel fine. I've not felt this for decades, really.
Do you remember what happened?
Yes. I must see Tord.
I agree. Why don't you sit back down? I'll go search around the common room and see if he's down there.
All right. And she would sit back down. I think also if Dane looks terribly uncomfortable, I think she would try to move him so that he's in a little bit of a better position.
I think when you go to shift Dane, he kind of I'll get a shovel later. Before he finally kind of opens his eyes and sees that it's you. How are you?
I'm fine, Dane. And you? This could have been very comfortable.
This is the least uncomfortable thing that's happened all day.
I feel like there's a story there and that I've missed a lot.
Oh, you were there for most of it. Should I go get Sir John and Tord?
I believe Vedder has gone to get Tord, but it's all right. Maybe you should go and get some proper sleep. The morning's going to come.
Sorry, I'm not really tired anymore. Oh.
Why were you sleeping in here?
Just wanted to just needed to be near you. Make sure everything was okay.
Oh, Dane. Thank you. I don't know what has happened today, but it is good to see your face.
Maybe it's best if Tord fills you in on what happened from the start.
Aye, all right.
But we hung your clothes up to dry after you were changed. So it's that.
Okay.
well,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, the thing I was just gonna say, I imagine they should be coming up the stairs any minute.
Yeah. And I think the Ariana Shial gets filled in is kind of where we're going to leave this episode. Kind of show this montage of them explaining the extraordinary circumstances of how she came to be where she is and the way she's feeling. And next time, we will begin with the assault on the castle. Okay, so thank you.
what was planned for this session? We totally,
maybe.
totally just kept pushing off and pushing off.
Never. No, I'm perfectly good with that. I would much rather you guys bite into a juicy role-playing scene and just enjoy it to whatever end that you guys want. I love seeing that kind of stuff and being surprised by a lot of the characterization and the reaction that comes out of the situations that you have found yourselves in. So, I enjoy the hell out of it. So, thank you very, very much. You guys are all wonderful, wonderful players. I love this stuff so much. And thank you to anybody who may have tuned in and watched this evening. I'm going to go ahead and toss it back over to my players so that they can say anything that they'd like, do outros, etc., and then we'll put a bow on it. So, first up, Karen.
Well, apparently I started something after all. It was a very good session. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed seeing and watching the entire Dane versus Tord that happened there. That was pretty awesome. So this was a great session. I just loved it, and I love playing with all of you guys. So thank you so much. And I don't really have anything else to say about anything. So I'll pass it on. Thank you, Jeremy.
Absolutely. I'm sorry that you spent the majority of that session unconscious, but it kind of was your own fault. I'm just saying.
You told me to do it.
It's true.
I did.
All right. Well, since we're pointing fingers of blame, Baron.
Hey everyone, I'm Baron. I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming, where I run D&D stuff and make videos. So I played Tord. Tord kind of sucks at doing good things, but he tries. So hopefully one of these times we actually succeed. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot that you guys are still doing right, even if it doesn't necessarily feel like it sometimes. I promise. Maybe I'll turn down the dial on the challenges that you face. Maybe.
I think it's just us making obstacles for ourselves.
There is some of that, to be sure. All right, next up we have Josh.
Hey guys, I'm Josh. I run the channel Roll the Bones. You can find me there on YouTube, Roll the Bones, or on Twitter, Roll the Bones TV. Again, tonight I played Edward Bainton. Tonight was a very, very special session. I will definitely put it up there. We've played like 14 sessions now. It's definitely at least in my top 3 favorite sessions. Everything was so intense and so good. It just it boggles my mind how awesome you guys are as players. It's my absolute pleasure and privilege to be playing with you guys and Jeremy every month or so, as often as we do it, and I can't wait to keep doing it. So thanks everyone for watching, and thank y'all. It's been a real treat.
I absolutely feel the same way, Josh. I only run 2 campaigns online. That's kind of my limit. And both of them are very, very good, filled with phenomenal players. So I'm incredibly lucky in that regard. And I look forward to every opportunity to play both of these games. So thank you guys for continuing to surprise me and to keep coming back after a year. Going on longer than that now. All right. Next up, we have Eli.
Hey everybody, I am Eli. I played Sir John Lightenor, and I am also the head honcho over at the Mythic Gazetteer. We are putting out some written stuff now as opposed to video stuff, but we're going to be doing that more in the future. So head over to YouTube and check us out. Yeah, this was quite a session. I wasn't expecting it to reach those emotional depths, but boy, we got there.
It's always surprising. We haven't played in 2 months, and everybody came swinging this time, and that was a lot of fun. It was almost like we didn't even miss a beat. So that's fantastic. A lot of times when groups get back together after a hiatus, there's kind of this cold, have to re-break the ice, kind of get used to everything again, but nah, you guys were just like a steel ball bearing on ice, just straight through. I loved it. All right, last but certainly not least, speaking of steel ball bearings on ice, Steve.
Hey everybody, I'm Steve. I play the young squire Dane, who's constantly digging holes for himself and the entire group. But it was a blast. I really appreciate it. I love everyone who plays in this game and their characters and the people themselves. This game's very special to me, and I feel very lucky to count you all amongst friends. So thank you for that. And Jeremy, thank you for hosting the game. As always, it's great.
It is absolutely my pleasure. I'm proud to host this game on my channel, so thank you guys for being players in it. All right, everyone. Thank you for sticking with us this evening. I know there was a lot of tech issues in the beginning. One of these days, I'll get this shit figured out. I promise. But until then, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.